Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, I am the GM of the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm here to tell you all about the future and what we hope for this upcoming season for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. We've got the amazing young talent glittered throughout the lineup, including a few new faces, including Mason Mctavish straight from the CHL, ready to take the world by storm. We've got the ever-impressive Jamie Drysdale in the back on defense, leading our way for the future. And up front, we've got Troy Terry, the breakout star last season who almost brought us to victory every game. And the ever-sensational handsman American Trevor Zegras in the starting lineup to start the season. What a great team we've got this year. And we say all this to blind you from the fact that we really have no chance this year. Thank you, and we'll play some hockey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And after you are disappointed, remember, we've always got Disney World to go to. So, thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the party package. My name is Owen, and allow me to introduce myself. I am today the hockey analyst, and you are my viewer. Thank you for clicking on this video. Now, today we are going over the future season going into the 2022-2023 NHL season. We are currently in July, which means we are months away from the season even being close to starting, and there's still plenty of moves to be made. But right now, I decided that I'm going to start doing the season previews starting alphabetically, and I know this is going to seem a lot like a certain guy's channel because there's a whiteboard, but how else am I supposed to do this? Think about it. So, I've gone over the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm going to talk about their roster going into next season and what they need, just the questions surrounding the teams and their expectations and what's going to happen for the future of this team. So right now, we're going to be talking about the Anaheim Ducks, which I should have wrote up here, but I didn't. So far in this offseason, their biggest move has really been adding Ryan Strome to really put that second-line center in position, which is weird because Adam Henrique was kind of that guy and Getzlaf, but he's gone now. A lot of changes this team has gone over, and they're really, you can tell that this team really is moving forward for the future. I mean, Getzlaf retired, so it's not like they got rid of him, but he retired, and a lot of the old guard is gone now. Perry's been gone for a while, but Getzlaf, like, those guys are gone, and they're really moving on. So this year, the team's looking, is it better or worse than last year? I would say the team's going to be better than last season. The Anaheim Ducks were really they were a team that has strong players. Of course, you got Zegras, you got Terry, the breakout star last season for the Anaheim Ducks, and Zegras just being the sensation of probably this generation. And that's really about it, though. And that was my joke at the beginning of this video, is that this team really doesn't have any more substance other than that. Because they will catch, it's kind of the Oilers effect, where they have, like, two guys that it's like, wow, Terry's getting a lot of points. Then you've got Zegras, it's like, wow, he's making highlight reel things, and he's going to be, his highlights are going to be going down for the next decade of hockey and inspiring like TikToks and videos of kids doing some crazy moves. That's who he represents, is that new age of like stick handling and stuff and skills and tricks. But it really is kind of flashy and stuff to blind you from the fact that this team last year did not do very good. They finished just behind the San Jose Sharks to finish, I believe, 6th in the Pacific Division, nowhere close to a playoff spot. And if you were like me before I started thinking about this video, you probably would have thought that they did better than that, but they didn't. And I think this year they're going to be better. This year, their biggest addition's been Ryan Strome, and the biggest questions around this team is, does Zegras and Terry, especially Zegras, take that next step? Troy Terry wasn't expected to be amazing last year, and he was. But will Terry stay at that level at least? Will he stay at that level and stay in that range, or maybe he goes up a step, or maybe he comes down a peg? You never know. But Zegras being the real hot shot on this team is going to be the big question for this season, because Zegras is supposed to be that next big name for them. And also coming up the ranks is Mason Mctavish, who played in the CHL last year. This lineup here is also just my little mock-up and also what I saw online. Not really a lot more could change here. I mean, you got Zegras, Strome, Henrique, and Lundestrom, which they got a solid middle. They got a solid middle, centers-wise. And they've got a decent enough top two right wings. But left wing is really where it falls off. Now, of course, Mason Mctavish could be a superstar. But, I mean, you know, that's an if. He could end up down here. He could end up right there. He could end up number one on the team. You never know. We have no idea. He hasn't started the season, and he's a rookie. Vetrano, I don't really fits there, and I really wanted Maxime Comtois, but Comtois really hasn't never taken that step. He's been kind of not good. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Comtois has really been I wouldn't call him a disappointment, because he's not really been, like, the biggest hope in the world. But top six, he's not there. He's not there. Last year he had a negative 17. He only had like 30 points, which isn't not what you want. So, and Grant and Carrick, I mean, those guys are AHL level guys, and they're on the NHL team. Max Jones, he could be an interesting power forward type player. He could be like a Timo Meier, but he just hasn't showcased that. And, I mean, you can't think he's going to. He hasn't shown it off. They traded away, in my opinion, their best defenseman this last season in Lindholm, and now they've only got Fowler, Drysdale, Vakinen, Shattenkirk, Benoit Mahuro, however you say his name. I mean, these two guys down here, once again, AHL-level defensemen that you'd see playing against the Roadrunners. And then Vakinen is, you know, he's a rookie, and he could be a really good defenseman for them. And Drysdale and Vakinen is probably the future defenseman of the franchise. Shattenkirk's on his way out, but he's still been playing pretty good in his years. Fowler and Drysdale. Drysdale, I think, he's going to be a great player. He's going to be a great defenseman. But the problem with this Ducks team, and then goaltending, I mean, Gibson's still a really good goalie, and Stolarz is actually a pretty good backup who could steal the role, not this year, but eventually could be the one to take over the net if they trade Gibson or something along that in the future. But my question about this team is that they're in a rebuild of a sort, right? They're trying to build up. They're getting their pieces in Terry and Zegras. And, I mean, they still got Silfverberg, who's not bad at all. You got Ryan Strome, who's a pretty decent... I mean, he is a very good second-line center. Strome is not... he could be a first-line guy if you have, like, you know, like a really good couple guys to put around him. Like, you got, like, Panarin, like how he was on the Rangers. Like, if you have, like, a Panarin and you have a... whoever, you know what I'm trying to say. He could be good there, but solid second line. These top two lines are good, but they're not good enough. For me right now, they're a team that is going to be hopeful for a playoff position. They're going to be, I mean, they're already in the weakest division in the Pacific, and with the Flames recently coming out saying that they're not going to be able to re-sign Tkachuk, and they're not going to, and he's going to be traded away. Goudreau's left. I mean, that's immediately bumped the Calgary Flames basically out of their top position. I mean, they just lost their top two guys on their team. So not really a whole lot you can do there about that. So that opens up an opening for this Ducks team who's better than last year, and there's an opening now. The Golden Knights could slip up there, and next year I could see definitely the Oilers taking number one, and then second place is where second, third, and fourth, I feel like we've got the Ducks, the Kings, and the Knights. And we got those three teams that could switch in there. Now, it'll be interesting because the Pacific's so weak. Do they even get a wild card spot? So the Ducks are going to be very key, and the Kings and the Knights on if they can get that second and third spot, because that fourth spot probably goes to the wild card, two of them in the Central, and that's just how it's going to work. Especially with now, I I mean, the Central's just as strong as ever. But anyways, the Anaheim Ducks this next season, they've got a lot to look forward to, but they're not going. They're going to be the type of team that's going to try for a playoff spot. I sense they either end up in fourth because they're going to be better than the Kraken, they're going to be better than the Sharks, and they're going to probably be better than the Flames. And are they better than the Kings? Are an interesting choice because they got like Kopitar and Doughty. Are those guys too, like, have they going to start dwindling this year, and then can their new guys step up in their position? That depends. So they're going to be fighting for fourth or third and maybe gets in a playoff spot. And if they do, they're not going to win the Stanley Cup. They're not going to win the Stanley Cup. Do they get to the second round? Maybe if they go up they get third and they play against like the Knights or something, or they play against the Kings. I could see them beating round one, but there's no way they go past round two. This team is going to be hopeful, and then the question really for the Ducks, a team like a rebuilding like the Ducks, is next year. What is next year going to look like for them? And this is a start. You've got your main defenseman, you've got your main forward, you got Gibson, who's a good goalie, who's going to last if he's not traded away. And the Ducks are going to be an interesting team to watch because they got a lot. They got a superstar stud in Zegras, and they got a hopeful in Mctavish, and they got a lot of. They got Terry and Comtois are question marks because Terry, does he keep going? Does he stay the same, or does he drop? Who knows? There's no way of knowing because he's only had one good year. Comtois, another young guy who's really not making it. Max Jones, another young guy who's really not making it. Henrique, an older guy, can he continue staying at that level, or is this maybe a year where he starts to fall off? I mean, Lundestrom, I've always liked him. I always thought that he has a good chance of being a pretty solid player. And he could. This whole lineup could completely change. Vetrano, I mean, could easily be there. He could be here. He could be down here. Henry could be up here. Lundestrom could be up here. There's a lot of question marks around this team on forwards-wise. Forwards-wise, I would say they're decent enough on forwards. On offense, they could get by. They can play against another team. Where I fall apart is defensively. This defense is not going to be good enough to stand against a team to play and have a solid year. This team, this first line, sure, but these two bottom lines is going to be a very hard thing to watch, I would say. Especially Benoit and Mahura. I mean, that's two AHL guys. Vakainen, is he NHL ready? And then Gibson and Stolarz. It's going to be an interesting team. It's going to be an interesting team, and teams like this that are middle of the league are always so hard to tell what they're going to do because because there are 16 teams that make it into the playoffs. 8 teams from each conference make it into the playoffs. Are the Anaheim Ducks good enough to slide into one of those 8 teams from the Western Conference? I don't think so. I think they'll end up in 4th place in the Pacific, not getting a wild card spot. I think we will see a jump for Zegras in points. I think we will see Terry stay the same, but I don't think he's going to get any better. I think he's going to stay in that zone that he was in this season. Mctavish, I could see Mctavish getting 20 goals this year. An assist, no idea. But I could see Mctavish, just something about his name really just strikes me. I feel like he's a solid guy that could get to 20 goals this year. Strom fits this team well. Silfverberg, I mean, he's their guy. Comtois, Henrique, and then the second half are all questions. I mean, if this team is able to turn it around, if like Comtois and Jones are able to flip their careers around and become productive players, then I'd say, sure, this team offensively, pretty good. But down here, things are just going to be pretty hard to predict. This team, if they're going to be a buyer at the trade deadline, they definitely are going to need to go for a scorer and at least one or two more defensemen. But it's just not going to happen. I don't think they're not looking. This season is to get these guys ready, and then next year is when they can start building up. I think this is their past year, kind of like the Coyotes last year, where it was like, we're just going to suck this year. We're just going to suck it up, get through it, and start rebuilding. Not that these guys are going to suck, but they're not going to be like, this is the year where they can actually strike. They've got a good foundation for the future, but not this year. This year isn't going to be their year, and it's as simple as that for the Anaheim Ducks. And that's really all I have to say about them, is that they're going to be a middling team, probably fourth in the Pacific, not making a wild card spot, and it's going to be interesting to see. They could easily make it into third. I think it's that third position that they could fight for, but I feel like the Kings and the Knights are going to beat them out for it, and even the Canucks. The Canucks could do it as well. So that's all I have to say about the Anaheim Ducks. If you enjoyed watching this video, please pick up your free subscription down below. Leave a like, not a dislike, but you can go down below to the comment section where you can write your opinions, rants, tangents, complaints, or other reviews, feedback, and concerns, and suggestions you'd like to make about what I have to say, what about the Anaheim Ducks. And I guess until next time, thank you for watching. I have been the Parody. And ta-ta for now.